Hi everyone, LiberAnarchy here again. I'm sure my other video was cut off. I'm not going to continue that. I do, however, have a related thought. And one example, I guess another example of how people load language, and this is a very deceptive, manipulative example, is they frame involuntary actions in voluntary terms. Involuntary being one word, meaning not voluntary, involuntary being two words, in and voluntary, obviously. But what sometimes people do, and I've seen parents do this, and I've had my share of, let's just say my parents were kind of manipulative, especially my mother. And one thing that will happen is they would sometimes say, we decided, we tried, we agreed, etc. and so forth, that you would not do XYZ, or if you did do XYZ, you would get punished thusly, when the truth of the matter is, there was no agreement, there was no mutual decision making, but rather in my case, if I did not give the appearance of agreeing, I would have been smacked around, manipulated, I would have been detained, either be it detained somewhere for a very long time, getting lectured ceaselessly, until I caved, or just confined in my room until I caved and gave the appearance of agreement. But chances are, if I didn't give the appearance of agreement, I would have gotten hit. There was no voluntarism involved, there was no contract involved, there was no agreement involved. And in this situation, most anybody, except for somebody who's very, very stupid or very, very resilient or a little of both, would pretend to agree in order to protect their well-being. Nobody wants to be hit, nobody wants to be set down in a chair and told how bad and wrong and unacceptable they are for an hour or 2 or 3 hours, and then be blamed for wasting the person's time who actually chose to do that, even though they're much bigger and stronger and they can actually keep you there, etc. and so forth. And this often takes place. Now, certainly bosses, politicians, etc. often do this to other adults as well, but this sort of language loading often takes place between somebody who is 25, 30, 35 years old and has a lot of years and experience behind them, and who probably knows what they're doing, and it's usually done to a person who's 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, who is a little less savvy to what is going on. And I suppose a 15-year-old, you could say, well, they should be more savvy. Unless, of course, they were taught not to be. Unless they were taught, they were convinced to convince themselves that they did agree, and then when they're 25, it's something that they may choose to work on, and they may realize that they didn't actually agree and that they were in fact being manipulated. But anyway, as I was saying, usually you have somebody with a hell of a lot more physical prowess as well as mental prowess manipulating somebody who isn't nearly as savvy. And and not only does this happen with parents, this happens with teachers to students, bosses to employees, politicians to potential voters, Little Miss Drama Queen to the person who is the current target of her tantrum or something. This doesn't even have to be a top-down thing. People will often attempt to frame things in voluntary terms when they weren't voluntary at all. For example, again, this is off the top of my head. What isn't off the top of my head, I don't plan my videos, go figure, but let's say you have somebody who catches somebody eating lunch, they're sitting down eating lunch, and say they're co-workers and they both have a half hour for lunch, and he just walked across the street, got a big submarine sandwich, like 12-inch long submarine sandwich. He's going to sit there and spend 15 minutes eating, right? Or he could move and go outside the building in, say, the winter cold or something, but really, he's probably going to sit there and finish his sandwich in the course of 15 minutes. And a manipulative person may catch him and start talking and rambling on, and he's paying more attention to his sandwich anyway, and then later on, when she needs some sort of alibi, she's going to bring his name up and pull him. I know I'm saying she probably because I've seen more manipulative women than men, and you can go in so many different directions as to why that's true. I suspect that it's probably, I suspect it probably has a lot to do with, historically speaking, women didn't have a lot of power. And like anybody who is, beaten down, in many cultures, many generations, women have been, okay? They're going to learn to manipulate. And when mom, and mom's mom, and mom's mom, and mom's mom, have been manipulative people because they've learned to manipulate, chances are the daughter's gonna fucking learn to fucking manipulate. Okay? Anyway, now, I'm not just blaming all men, okay? I'm sure there are other factors involved, okay? And there is personal responsibility involved, but I'm pretty sure that the long history of a lot of men shitting on a lot of women makes this so, okay? But I've seen more manipulative women than I have of men, and men in general seem more straightforward to me in general on the whole, okay? So back to my hypothetical example. Let's say Jane Manipulative now wants to pull in Joe Hungry when she needs some sort of alibi or something like that, or when she needs the appearance of somebody that agrees with her, and she might say, "But you sat there and you listened to me and you nodded and you agreed." When what he was really doing is just fucking eating, and what she was doing was manipulating the situation. Again, off the top of my head, but yeah, there wasn't like a voluntary thing. She went, "Look, listen, can I talk to you? Okay, you're eating. This is kind of serious. I'll let you eat. Do you think that maybe you could get some time to yourself? Well, I get off at 5, and I may even stay late. Okay, do you mind if I maybe send you an email? Because this is kind of serious, and you might have an opinion, and I really want your opinion, and I don't want to bring you into drama, but maybe there's something going on that I'm not seeing, and I know that everybody in the office seems to like you, and you seem to have a good reputation, and you seem to keep your word, and I trust you with this. So is it okay if I ask your opinion about a situation, or ask for your observations about a particular situation to see if they match up with mine? Okay, say like there's an employee that seems very incompetent or something, and I don't know. But Yeah, and then he might say, yeah, okay, shoot me an email, or okay, tell you what, maybe I'll come in early tomorrow or bring my lunch tomorrow and we can arrange a time to talk. Or he might say, no, I have nothing to do with human resources, take it to the fucking human resources department. Okay, that would be voluntary. But the first situation I set up has nothing to do with voluntary. Doesn't matter. She will frame this, because this is J manipulative, right? J manipulative is going to frame it in voluntary language because she's J manipulative, right? So, but hopefully Joe Hungry is going to be able to say, no, that wasn't voluntary at all, and he's going to have the moxie to actually say it and not be like, oh, well, she's a woman, I have to be polite because I'm a man and she's a woman, and so I have to, give her more leeway and allow her to do and say more things. No, she's responsible for what she does. Yeah, and yes, I have seen men and women both use traditional gender roles as a way of manipulation, or assumed gender roles as a way of manipulation. Oh, I'm a female, I'm just so weak, I can't, oh, but I'm a girl. It's like, I can throw dishes at you all damn day, but you can't hit me, I'm a girl. I'm coming at you with a knife, you can't hit me, I'm a girl. And of course, yes, I've seen men use traditional gender roles and concepts to try to dominate women as well, and I'm sure I don't have to go into that because everyone would probably, hopefully, already knows what I'm talking about, because it seems to be more, it seems to be more prevalent and more severe, but women do it too. So you know what? Fuck traditional gender roles unless people are voluntarily assuming them. That's different. Again, it's voluntary. If you have adults voluntarily assuming traditional gender roles from any tradition, that's okay. Okay. I mean, you do have 24/7 DNS relationships between consenting adults. That's okay. You have pagans that take on a tradition where the female pretty much is the boss of the home and the male is the boss outside of the home. If it's between consenting adults, I don't care. But when it's forced onto people, that's when I start caring. Because that means it's going to be forced onto me eventually, and I don't want to deal with that bullshit. I want to live my life. Not your life, my life. Okay, so now that I've ranted and raved and gotten entirely off topic, it's time for me to go do other shit that's actually useful and gets things done, aside from ranting on YouTube! Yeah. Internets.